Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Put your questions in the comments now. I'm going to just talk to you about an update regarding VAWA. So we have, and this is good news. Now, if you are already a VAWA self-petitioner, or you've had any experience with VAWA, you know that it's not a situation where you can just call immigration and ask for your information, or you can't call to let them know maybe there's a mistake going on that they need to fix. This has been a source of frustration for a lot of applicants. Now, with us as attorneys, what we've been able to do is we contact USCIS through a special email designated only for attorneys. And so that's where we get certain issues fixed. Within about 30 days or so, we can get those things fixed. Now, go ahead and let me know if you're unable to hear me. Just I see the thank you for the love. Let me know on Instagram. I see somebody complaining about the sound, so just let me know, confirm for me whether it's working or not, and I'll try to log out and log back in. In the meantime, I'll continue until I get word otherwise. Thanks for the love again. But what I so yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so I think it's I hear you. Okay, awesome. I think it may be your device that you're listening in on. All right. So I have good news for you today, because what usually happens is VAWA self-petitioner. So first, for those of you who don't know me, you've never seen a live and you've never heard of VAWA before. VAWA in this setting, in immigration setting, VAWA takes care of a lot of things across the board. But VAWA in this immigration context, well, welcome, Rack. In this context is for relatives of U.S. citizens or residents. That's the spouse, the parent, or the son or daughter of U.S. citizens or residents who are being mistreated by those relatives. That in a nutshell. Now, let me clarify. In order to apply for this, you have to be the spouse of a U.S. citizen or resident, the parent of a U.S. citizen who is age 21 or older, or the son or the child under 21 and unmarried of a U.S. citizen or parent, to apply for certain benefits like the green card, like protection from deportation through deferred action, like the work permit through VAWA based on the mistreatment. So this is relief basically for those specific relatives that I listed. So the thing about this is, because of the sensitive nature of this type of application process, it has to be confidential, absolutely confidential. Under the law, Immigration Service is not supposed to disclose any information regarding the applicant, this VAWA self-petitioner. And what was happening is, because of this confidentiality, people would maybe file their own applications and then call in to maybe find something out, confirm they got it, maybe make a correction, and they were met with a stone wall, which is very frustrating, especially if you as an individual filed on your own without an attorney. They quickly realized how difficult it was to get things, to communicate about your case and to get things, issues addressed. So immigration is now addressing this problem, this frustrating problem where applicants, self-petitioners are unable to get information about their application or to make any changes or corrections. The way we do it is through this email that we're given by USCIS. But for self-petitioners who don't have attorneys, it is a very difficult process, because they say, put it in writing and send it by snail mail. Well, nowadays, you know how that goes. For something to send it by snail mail, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks just for it to get where it needs to be. So they have now issued guidance and made changes to the policy manual under VAWA that now enable applicants to call into the number, to call into the main customer service number, or to be able to submit through their USCIS account a special form to address any of their needs regarding the application. So that's great news because it can help people to fix their situation a lot faster instead of having to wait for snail mail and or in risk it possibly getting lost. Now, what they're going to do is, in order to continue to maintain confidentiality, they're going to be asking specific questions about the case to verify information about the applicant. So they will, you should have when you're calling, if you are a VAWA self-petitioner and you call in, you must make sure you have a copy of your application and make sure you have your receipt notice and receipt notices for all the forms. Because remember, you file the I-360, that's the VAWA petition, but along with the VAWA petition, in some cases, you're going to file the adjustment of status application, the work permit application, the travel document application, the affidavit of support waiver, the G325A form. So you want to make sure that you have all of this in one place, because when you call, they're going to ask various types of information. It's called personal identifying information, PII, to make sure that they can verify that the person calling is the person on the application. So they maybe start with your full name, your date of birth, the last address that you lived on the application, your I think I may have said your A number, but your A number, your social security number, if you have it. So those are examples of information that they're going to be asking, and they may continue to ask more. So you want to have all that documentation there with you. And then in addition to that, you can always log into your USCIS account and submit your request there as well. So that is what's going on. And I do think that's a much needed change because even in urgent situations where we have, even me as the attorney, we've wanted to just call to verify something or get something fixed, it has been difficult to do that. We would have to go through the email, and the email still takes up to 30 days to get an answer, 30 days or a little even more to get an answer from the email. But even speaking to an agent by phone after verifying your information, it can be a lot better, and it can give you a peace of mind and get to the solution faster. So look out for that. But keep in mind, it's always important to make sure that you are represented by an attorney, because the attorney is who will have your best interests in mind. One thing I've seen people say is they will call immigration for advice. Keep in mind, immigration is there to process information. They process your application. They don't care at that point if you qualify, if they don't care, if they don't care to warn you that you don't qualify. And the scary part about it is that I've seen some customer service agents give advice to people that is completely wrong, because their job is not to give legal advice. It's not their job is to look at your application and make a final decision. So don't call USCIS for legal advice. You will not get the right legal advice. I've seen it multiple times, and I've seen mistakes turning into disaster because they were told something by an information officer at USCIS. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so let me go ahead. I'm going to jump into questions now. So let me go ahead. I'm going to scroll through. So I go from platform to platform. So right now I'm looking at Instagram. Then I'll go to YouTube, Facebook, and then I will go to TikTok. So hang tight. but we all can learn from each other's questions. So um, just listen up and learn. I got adopted by a US citizen and I'm 27 years old. Will I get the green card? So this is a tricky situation because when it comes to adoption, you have to be adopted before a certain age, which is usually before the age of 16. If your US citizen adopts you now, it is not going to result in a green card because you have in order to go through adoption, you have to be adopted before the age of 16, and then they also have to show that they had physical and legal custody of you for 2 years. Um, in 2 years, and you were adopted before the age of 16 to be able to qualify for the green card through the US citizen. I'm divorced for 10 years now. Can I file for self petition for myself? So, unfortunately, when we're talking about a self petition in this situation where you're divorced, it has to be based on mistreatment by that spouse. That spouse has to be a citizen or a resident, and you have to show that you have been divorced for less than 2 years. Unfortunately, the 10 years is too far gone. But keep in mind that that does not mean that you don't qualify for other types of benefits, because even in cases where people have come to me for help and say they have experienced mistreatment, but they weren't married or they're now divorced, but that it has gone over the time, we found that because of the mistreatment, for example, they may have been forced to work or forced to do things against their will during their marriage, and that enables them to qualify for what's called T status. Um, Hi there, good afternoon. Can I travel with AP after 3 months filing for VAWA, or I have to wait at least 2 years? So if you have advanced parole that's valid, not expired, that's what it's there for. It's there to travel with. It's up to you to reach out for assistance regarding your risk factors because the risk is not zero. But as long as you have advanced parole, it means that you're much closer to being able to travel. Can I get green card from someone who went through parole? If they qualify to be your petitioner, they're now a US citizen or permanent resident, then yeah, even if they went through parole. Um, now, can if Oh, can I get, and no, if you're saying, can I get a green card for someone who went through parole? Once again, are you in a position to petition for them? If they got paroled, it means parole is also a way to adjust status. So you can still show using parole that you came in with permission and you can apply for adjustment of status. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, um, Scarlett says, Attorney, you're such very informative to us that need help. So yes, thank you so much for that, and give us a call for sure. How long does a VAWA process take? So the entire process right now is taking 2.5 to 3 years. Keep in mind that along the way you get essential benefits like your work permit and your travel document that helps you to get a head start on life until the entire process is complete. And when I say 2.5 to 3 years to get to the end of the process, I mean from filing to green card. Along the way, though, you get all the benefits you need, like your social security number, your work permit, your travel document to be able to carry on with life. I know someone who has been married to an American citizen but has not seen it fit to file her papers. My question is, can she file on her own? If that American citizen is mistreating her, then VAWA is an option here to apply on her own. How can I write a letter of abeyance? So that yes, we do that. So letter of abeyance, I I say hire an attorney to do it. I never tell people to do these things on their own. A letter, these types of letters is going to be dependent on your facts and exactly what we're asking immigration to do. Now, just for all of your information, I want to talk to you about what a letter of abeyance is. So, if you're going through the VAWA process and you are, well, no, if you're going through the marriage based process or the family based process through a parent or a citizen child, and say along the way they're mistreating you, they're threatening to sabotage your process, and you just need to escape this situation. You can make a switch from the family-based or the marriage-based process to VAWA and turn it into your own self-petition process, where now you take them out of the picture. Now your process is not primarily dependent on their cooperation or what they do. It's your process, and then at that point we have to inform immigration that you're now making the switch, right? And so that they should hold your adjustment of status application, that's for the green card, your work permit, and your travel document in abeyance, mainly the adjustment of status application in abeyance, mean put it on hold. Don't make any decisions on your adjustment of status until they can decide the VAWA petition. So essentially, it keeps everything going. It makes sure that you don't lose the benefits that you've already gotten from the marriage-based process. You don't lose those. You just take those benefits and switch it over to the VAWA process. And then it's going to continue to be processed under the VAWA process. So that is what a letter of abeyance does, is it helps us to inform immigration, USCIS, that you're making the switch and ask them to hold your application in place. Hi there, Joseph. So nice to see you. Go ahead, put your questions in. I-360 and I-485 have been submitted since October, I think 2023, that is meant to say. That's great. Yeah. By now, you may be getting your prima facie notice if they have received everything they wanted. And you may be on your way to getting the work permit if you and you said you filed the I-485, if you applied for your work permit. You have to apply for your work permit along with the adjustment of status application. Can I add my younger special needs son to my immigrant petition as a derivative? My eldest son is in the army, is filing for me. So unfortunately not. This is a big problem, and I think a huge gap in immigration law is that you will have a child. So, your son is probably a US citizen and is age 21 or older, is petitioning for you. But at the same time, the parent, and at the same time, the parent has minor children. And it is very shocking to both the petitioner, the son or daughter who's petitioning, and the parent to find out that those younger children cannot be included in the application because the immigrant is an immediate relative of a US citizen in this case. The parent is an immediate relative of the US citizen. That makes their process go faster. That makes them have first priority. And that's why the process goes faster. But the problem with that category is that the immigrant relative is not allowed to have a derivative. That means no dependents are allowed to go on that application. Those dependents have to have an individual, independent basis to apply for the green card. So you can see how that can be devastating to a mother or a father that's being petitioned for, and now they have to contend with possibly leaving their children behind or leaving their children without status if they're already in the US. I'm German citizen. How can I apply for a social security number? Now, if you're a German citizen but you haven't become a permanent resident, you don't have work visa, you don't have a basis to get social security number, but you may be able to get an ITIN. An ITIN can serve as an alternative to help you to do your business here, to open up a business here, to carry on with certain types of business transactions here in the US and file your taxes. Can I expedite my VAWA case? It may be possible if you can show a humanitarian need. Can someone apply for a visitor's visa in other country besides your country? It's possible. It's possible if you're a resident in that another country and you're so say you're from Barbados, but you reside maybe on a work visa in Canada and you want a visitor's visa to come to the US, then you could go to the embassy in Canada to apply for the visa. My wife won't give me a receipt number and I have all the abusive messages. I'm living out of America. Can I apply for VAWA? Where should I start from? So when you're outside of the United States, it's a little trickier in regards to VAWA. You do have to still show that you resided with your abusive spouse. So did you at some point in your relationship? So if you don't show any kind of ability that you any kind of proof that you live together, it can present a roadblock for you. Now there are two exceptions here. If your spouse is military, a member of the military, or works for the federal government, then you don't have to show that you resided together to be able to apply for the VAWA. So get in touch with us. Let's talk about the facts here, and I can advise you, better than this and confirm with you. EB3 unskilled USA from Pakistan. Please reply. So, EB3 is employment based. It just depends if you have an employer petitioning for you. Hello, attorney. Can I file VAWA on basis of a woman just leaving the house and move somewhere else to live? That is usually the first sign of mistreatment. But and it can qualify as a form of abandonment. But usually we do still have to show, for example, usually before that happens, there were other signs, there were other forms of mistreatment, whether it was verbal, whether it was emotional, there's usually other red flags. And in that case, you can apply for VAWA. This is where I say the facts matter. Definitely get in touch with us, schedule your consultation, and we can talk. Sorry, I missed it. So should I just ask them to transfer my 485 to the VAWA case? So I can't advise you specifically. This is where it's very important that you get in touch and get specific legal advice and guidance, because I don't know your case. I'm not your attorney. But usually, with the letter of abeyance, once you filed your VAWA case, you can ask them to hold your case in abeyance. When I say transfer, I am I'm using language that's a little simpler. But the proper way to do this is to basically hold the I-485 in place and then link it to the VAWA instead of the marriage base. But just get legal advice. Don't do this on your own because it can get complicated, especially because of confidentiality issues. I do find this to be complex issue because I have personally represented clients, and sometimes it takes a while to stick just because of communication issues with the USCIS. Sometimes it takes multiple communications for them to understand that we are transferring the adjustment of status to the VAWA. So it's complex. Do not oversimplify this process and don't do it on your own because you could find yourself in a lot of problems. And you could find your adjustment of status application denied altogether if you don't do the abeyance correctly. How long does it take to get an LPR to petition for their minor children in their home country? So right now there's a wait list again, unfortunately. So I'm estimating that it's not too long of a wait list, but it is taking long for people to move up on the wait list. So I'm estimating 2 to 3 years now for that process to go through when they're outside of the country. All right. So let's see what we have here. Okay, Siobhan, thanks so much for tuning in. Sounds okay. Okay, got work permit for 1 year. Came to the US 2022 as a F1. How can I get my green card? So there's no way to go directly from F1 student to green card. You do have to show that you qualify in some way, and this is where it's important to get a consultation to discuss those through employer, through family, through humanitarian means. My niece got married. How long can she wait to submit papers? There's no specific wait time, but it's going to depend. I often say this. I use this as an example. If you were to get married on Friday, and then say you eloped, say you met the love of your life on the Friday in Vegas, and you knew this was the one. You eloped right away by the nighttime. Met them in the morning, eloped by the nighttime. Would you have everything you need to file by Monday morning? Probably not, because you just met them and got married to them on the same day. If you filed on that Monday, I can guarantee immigration is going to have a lot of questions. So, and by the way, I did have a client that this happened to, right? The client uh, got basically met them online, got married, left the country to go to another country to meet them in person, got married on that same trip. And then the spouse ended up coming to the US on visitor's visa and staying with them, right? So they were a newlywed couple, but they went throughout that time that the immigrant spouse then joined them here in the US. They went through a lot. So they got married very quickly, but then things started to happen where they had to go through a lot together, and they built a history. And then after they built the history, they applied for their green card. And when we went to the interview, the officer was very tickled at how quickly they got married. But because they went through so much together and built such a foundation, there was no question that they would be approved, because it was clear that it was a bona fide marriage. So it's all to say here that you can get married pretty quickly, but you have to build a solid foundation to apply with, or you're going to have problems in the immigration process. So you get married Friday, you meet, get married on Friday, and then maybe spend some time, like a month or three, building your life together, making, adding your names to bills, getting your place together, notifying family members, getting to know each other's family members, traveling, taking pictures, and then you can apply. Um, I'm waiting for my green card. I applied November 2022. When can I get it? I applied for VAWA case in November 2022. I got my work permit, but still waiting for green card. So it's taking 2.5 to 3 years. So let's see. So you could be looking at getting it around next year. So it could be sometime next year that would come through. I filed for VAWA September this year, will make 2 years. What are my expectations? So I say with VAWA, you're looking at 2.5 to 3 years. Watching from Kenya, well, thank you so much. Hello in Kenya. Can you still apply for B1, B2 visa if you have an ongoing petition? Yes, it's possible, but you have to really come good with evidence to show that you will not stay in the US if you come for a temporary visit. All right. Um, how much is the consultation? 150. Okay. So I have a question here about the cost. And we have a flat fee. And while we do reserve the right, once we have a quote, You can't expect the code to stay the same forever, right? However, when we do make announcements if we're going to increase our fees, so you can expect that the fees are likely to stay the same, but we do reserve the right to change our fees. So this is where, if you really want to make sure that those fees don't go up, then just treat your case with urgency. But as long as we don't say it's going to go up, it's not expected to go up the longer you wait. I'm filing for VAWA. My spouse is USC. I have form I-864 signed by my spouse. Can I send this document with my VAWA petition? This is too specific. It's too specific to answer here. I would say if the spouse signed it, any credible evidence is good, right? So anything that you can show that your spouse was involved in the process is going to be accepted as evidence. Uh, Now, are you asking if the I-864 is required for VAWA? No, you don't need an I-864 for VAWA. So someone here says, is it guaranteed to be approved and get the visa? So we take cases that we strongly believe in, and we have an excellent record of approvals. And we have an excellent record of approvals because we choose our cases very carefully. But what I would say here is guarantee. Now, if any attorney ever guarantees 100% you're going to get something, you need to think twice about that attorney. Because no attorney can guarantee anything. Nobody can guarantee results 100%. And it's very likely that you are looking at a scam. So you're never going to find me saying 100% guarantee will get you this for you. We're very confident in our process, and we are very picky about our cases. And when we're picky about our cases, it means that that's why we have a very high success rate. But just be wary. And it's just a word of advice, because I've seen that other people have fallen victim to even other attorneys, other, people, these immigration specialists that guarantees that you'll get something when that's not the case. So if we take your case, it means you have a very, very high chance of approval because we're so good at what we do. But you're never going to catch me pulling the tactics of a scammer by saying 100% guarantee, because I never trust that. Never trust somebody that says that. A person on a visitor's visa get married to a citizen could apply for adjustment of status with the 180 days period. So there's the 90-day period that you have to be careful about. If you are applying through a U.S. citizen spouse, you need to be wary, and you entered in less than 90 days, you need to be wary about that, because that can result in them accusing you of intending to stay here and a misrepresentation charge. So that's the where you have to be careful. Is there a chance of residency or green card for me if my husband died 4 years ago here in I see the Phils? He was retired federal government. I'm a survivor benefit from his retirement. So 2 years, when you are the widow of a U.S. citizen, I don't know if your husband was a U.S. citizen, you have 2 years to apply as a widow. If you don't, you miss that opportunity. How long does it take for a marriage-based AOS with a U.S. citizen with parole under section received? So I right now, spouses of U.S. citizens are getting this within 10 to 12 months. Is F1 visa fairly easy to get when overseas? When you have everything to convince officer, you're going back home, because B1, B2 isn't easy for sure. Because B1, B2 isn't easy for sure. So it depends. It really depends. When it comes to getting the visitor's visa, it depends on what kind of evidence you have to show. It's really on a case by case basis when it comes to getting the visitor's visa. All right, so here I am on TikTok. Let's see here. Can you file for VAWA if you're waiting for J1 visa, J1 waiver? Yes, you can apply for VAWA. Is it safe to travel on advance? Now, where you may have an issue is the adjustment of status application, but you can proceed with getting the VAWA petition first, and then once your J1 waiver is approved, adjustment of status. Is it safe to travel on advance parole with VAWA? Or is it safe for you? It depends on what your case is. Risk is not zero. Can you file for VAWA if you're waiting for J1 waiver? So yeah, once again, apply for VAWA petition, but make sure you know it could prevent you from being approved for adjustment of status. That's a green card. So get waiver first, then apply, but make sure you get legal advice, because I'm not your attorney. I don't know all the facts involved. Keep in mind too, J1, you have some J1s that don't have the 2-year foreign residency requirement that don't need a waiver. How soon can one remarry and file for wife after receiving 10-year green card to VAWA? It depends on the facts here. Now, keep in mind that when you get your green card, now you got it through VAWA, which means it's not directly linked to the spouse, right? But it can indicate or make an officer suspicious of fraud if you suddenly apply for your spouse for another spouse after getting the green card. You have to be very careful. It depends on the facts here. Let's see. If I'm undocumented in the US, is it possible for mom to file for me? If you're over 21 or over, she can file a petition, but adjustment of status, that means to stay here and get the green card, is going to be a big challenge. How soon can one remarry and file for wife after? So I answered that. How soon can one remarry? As I answered that. So go, if you would like to schedule the consultation specifically with me, I suggest you do that ASAP, because my schedule is filling up. We do have attorney Bria as well, who I work closely with. If I receive my EAD under asylum, should I still file for EAD when doing adjustment of status? Yeah, I do it, and you would get the EAD and you would get a new EAD under adjustment of status. So, for example, with my clients who are applying for adjustment of status, at the same time they get VAWA approved, they get 2 work permits based on the approval they got plus the pending adjustment of status. So it's possible. Is there an interview for T visa holder? It's not the usual protocol to have an interview. In 100 of my cases that have been approved, we just get their approval. How soon can one remarry and file for wife after receiving green card? Is there an interview? So I answered that. How long will it take for her to arrive here in Boston? I'm not sure where that one is coming from. What's the first step to filing for a T visa? So we go through first, we work closely with our clients to figure out what happened, what the facts are. We work with them to get their what they remember onto paper, and then draft a declaration that they review and make sure it's correct, and then they sign off on it. That's accepted as evidence. And then after that, we determine if there is any need to ask another agency, like Department of Labor or any other participating agency, to fill out what's called a T certification. It's a confidential process. So it's not a process where you have to go to court, you have to testify. It's not anything like that. We just reach out to the agency and ask them if they want to certify. At the same time, this does bring it to their attention. And what it does is, even if the agency refuses, say they say, nah, they're not interested, it still counts as an acceptable for immigration purposes. So it just means that we reach out to the agency for them to sign off on certification, and whether they agree or not, we can use that correspondence to then file the case. Then we go ahead and file the case. All of this is confidential. So the T is based on mistreatment by an employer or by a relative or by an intimate partner, so that they will not be involved in your process, and you are protected through the entire process. Then that's why we're here. It is a process where me and my team work very hard. We advocate for our clients, and our clients barely face any stress other than the stress that they have to face already being undocumented. Um, they don't have to take on additional burdens while we're working to get this done for our clients. So that's the best part. And then our clients wait and they get rewarded handsomely with that work permit and a path to the green card. Another very important thing that we've done for our clients is when they have a permanent bar. We apply for a special permission, and that special permission then clears them of that inadmissibility, that violation, and fixes their situation, fixes their record to allow them to proceed to the green card. So it is a process that involves a lot of our specialties and specialists here at the firm, our experts at the firm, and we all work together to make it a successful process for our clients. So it's hard work, but it's worth it. Good day. My two kids, 16, 17 September, are coming, and they are here. How long it takes for them to get, I'm not sure what the rest of it is. I'm married with a US citizen. We're planning to request green card. How long does it take? I said 10 to 12 months in all. You get work permit and travel document in 3 to 6 months. When you get I-130 form, how long after you get an appointment date? Now, keep in mind, I-130, if the spouse is outside of the country, it's going to be multiple steps. I-130 first. Then after it's approved, which is about 9 to 12 months, you are looking at, then it's sent to the embassy, a National Visa Center embassy. They process the paperwork. Right now I'm seeing up to 2 years for that process. Now, if your spouse is here or your relative is here, it's going to depend on what kind of relative you have. If you have a spouse, I-130, 9 to 12 months, and as long as you file the appropriate paperwork along with the I-130, they get to stay here and adjust status and get the green card. But if you are the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen age 21 or older, keep in mind that's a 5 to 7 year process. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen very soon. So it depends on what category you're in. Can you file military parole in place and I-130 form at the same time? Yes, that's possible. Yeah. Can I get my children over even on an I-130 pending application? No. No, the I-130 doesn't allow them to come. How long does it take for USCIS response after submitting application for marriage green card? 2 weeks. How much is consultation? $150. All right. So I have to head out. I will be back tomorrow. What you can do is go ahead and schedule the appointment. As I said before, my schedule is filling up. Attorney Bria's schedule is filling up because we are on a roll to help as many immigrants as we can to get back on track, get their papers while staying here. So go ahead, go to the link in the profile. You see where to confirm your own appointment. Do that now before it fills up because it fills up very fast. So, and you can also call the office, go to the link in the profile. My phone number is all over the videos in the caption. It's going along the bottom of the screen right here on Facebook and YouTube and I believe Twitch. So give us a call and we can help you to get in on the schedule and then we can figure out what you qualify for. I'm excited to do that. I'm always excited when I find that you qualify and I'm excited to move forward with your case, but you have to reach out for help first. That's the only way that we're going to achieve that for you. All right. Have a great one, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.